Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well and having a fantastic week. Today's video is another Q&A. I haven't done one in a little while and a few of you have been asking, so I thought why not do one today and go through a few of your questions about me, about the birds, about birds in general, because I really like Q&As. I like kind of having them on in the background, maybe going and grabbing a coffee and just kind of sit and listen to them. So I hope you enjoyed this one. And if I didn't get around to your question, then please do leave it down in the comments and I will reply to you there, because if I reply to everybody, it'll probably take a couple of hours. So I've tried to pick a few and go through those ones, and then you can learn a little bit more. So a question I get all the time is, are we going to get bigger birds? Are we going to get more birds? The answer is always and has always been yes, but it is dependent on us being able to move to a bigger place, because we don't have any more room for any more birds right now. We would love to rescue as many birds as possible and give them a forever home as well. So the answer is yes, we plan on getting more birds. I've no idea when that's going to be, because we're not able to move right now. We're looking and always hoping and wishing that somewhere is going to turn up that meets our needs. Are you going on there? Yeah. But yes, it is our plan. David loves macaws, so who knows, we'll have to wait and see. Another question I get asked a lot, but I thought I would go on to this again because I have a slightly different answer, is what's my dream bird? And ultimately for me, it's just about, as I said before, being able to give as many birds a forever home as possible. But I would love a male blue Indian ringneck. I think they're incredible. I would love a galah cockatoo, which I appreciate is a bit of a wacky one because they are fairly highly strung. But I would also love a moustache parakeet. But again, this is going to be dependent on what birds are available in rescues at the time we're looking and all those kinds of things. So we'll have to wait and see, but I would love to have those as part of our flock. So the next question I thought was very interesting, so I thought I'd include it, which is, how old should somebody be before they commit to having a bird as a pet? It really depends, and I'm going to explain why. So for starters, birds obviously live a very long time. So if you get a bird when you're, say, in your early or late teens, and your bird is likely to live for about 20 years, that is a huge chunk of your life where you could be potentially travelling, getting married, having children, developing a career, moving house, moving into properties where maybe birds aren't actually suitable for that place and maybe you're not allowed to have them. So there's loads of different things to consider. But another reason as well is when you are generally speaking under 18, although obviously this is going to be dependent on countries and your lifestyle and your family setup, generally speaking it is going to be your parents or adults, legal guardians, whoever it is that you live with, who are going to be legally responsible for that bird. So it's all well and good, you know, saying that you're going to get a bird when you are a certain age, but sometimes it is actually going to be somebody else who is legally and financially responsible for those birds. So I think that's more of a question for the people you live with. But also it comes down to how responsible you are, whether you're willing to make that commitment. If, for example, you are of school age and you really love birds, but you also have a lot of extracurricular activities, clubs after school, sports, you like to see your friends at the weekend, how are you going to manage that with giving your bird enough time, or birds enough time and enrichment and attention? So I can't give you a set answer because everybody's different. Everyone has different maturity levels as well. Everyone has different finances, life plans, everything like that. I think it's more of a case of having a chat with the people you live with and what their commitment is to you having a bird or multiple birds in your lives, and go from there, because you have to have everybody on board in your family home in order for a bird to live a brilliant life, because they're all going to play a part in that bird's life. Next question is, what are the best birdcage brands? I thought this was another really interesting question. So in the UK, we really like Liberta and Rainforest. So Olive's cage is a Rainforest Bolivia, and the boys and the Conya's cage are a Liberta Oregon flight cage. I think they're brilliant. There's sort of something for everybody, so they're awesome. In the States, I think A&E cages are generally the best. They have quite similar ones. They're probably all manufactured in the same place, to be honest. But they have very similar ones to the ones we get in the UK. And I don't know about prices, but I imagine they're fairly decent. You've also got King's cages as well, but I think they're quite expensive. They're very well made and they're made of very solid materials. They're very long lasting, but some cages can be very expensive. But for me, my personal opinion is Rainforest, Liberta and A&E cages are probably some of the best out there. Now, David was asked this question in his Q&A that he did the other day, and that is, who's my favourite member of the flock? Now, you can't possibly ask me to decide who I love more. I love them all equally. However, I do love them in, not in different ways, but they all have their different personalities and there's different things I love about each of them. I would say though that Scampy, my yellow-sided green-cheek conure, is most bonded to me out of all of the birds. He really does enjoy my company, and he likes David, but he's very interested in hanging out with me, so that's always nice. It's always nice to be wanted, isn't it? So I haven't got an answer, but I would say Scampy is most bonded to me. So a few of you actually asked how I am, which is very sweet of you, and I'm okay. Every day is different. This week has been particularly difficult. For some reason, I don't know if it's the school holidays starting, I don't know if people are seeing our videos more, but David and I have received an absolute bombardment of hate comments and things like that on YouTube, and it gets a bit much sometimes. I mean, to be on YouTube you do need a thick skin because you always get abuse. I always get comments taking the mick out of my eyes and my disability. That, you know, it's one of those things, but to get like pure abuse and questioning is just so wrong, and people think they can do it because they're hiding behind a username, they're anonymous. It's very sad, really. I do feel quite sorry for these people who have nothing better to do than, you know, send hate to people who are literally just trying to better birds' lives. So that's been annoying because we're very busy and I don't want to have to deal with that on top of everything. But generally speaking, we're okay. The birds are all keeping us busy. We're very busy with our business, Best Behaved Birds. We finished our bird toy trial boxes. They went so well that we will be starting a proper business, having them as like either a subscription box or you buy each month, and we're so excited. We've seen some of the toys we're going to be putting into each box, and yeah, we're really excited to get that out there and on the market, because it's something I've wanted to do for probably about 1.5 years now, and it's only really coming to pass. So yeah, that's cool. David's okay as well. We're just kind of getting on with things and trying to do the best we can, and yeah, but I hope you guys are all okay too. Let me know how you're doing down in the comments. I really hope that you guys are having a brilliant week and that you're doing well, so do let me know how you are. The next question is, do our cockatiels and conures get along? The short answer is no. Conures can definitely bully cockatiels. Cockatiels are kind of the very quiet kind of species of the parrot world. They don't really want to upset anybody, they just get on with their own business, and they tend to be a target for birds. So we generally speaking have our cockatiels and conures having separate outings, which does take up a lot of our day, but we kind of multitask. Pickles can be out with the boys, but if they get too close she'll kind of lunge at them. Scampy just spooks them and then they all fly around until they crash land, which is always great. Olive is kind of the opposite, so the boys will just do anything and she'll spook, and then it'll just be, you know, chaos. So we're always working on it. We would love to be able to have them out all at the same time, but at the moment it's not going to happen, and that's okay. It's one of the things that we prepared for when we took on all of these birds. We wanted to make sure we were prepared for either worst case scenario or kind of challenging scenarios where you know, it may take extra time because we're working with all the birds, and that's fine. We've adapted to it. It would be nice, as I said, to have everyone out, but it's just the way it is. What is the best way to move a bird to a new cage, all at once or slowly introduce? This is very dependent on your bird as well. So if you have a very nervous bird and a very neophobic bird who is afraid of new things, it may be worth setting up the cage in the room so they can kind of explore it, they can climb around it, you could do some target training around it, in and out of the cage, to get them used to that space. For us though, we have always just done a straight introduction. All of the cages have always been upgrades, and we've not had a problem with birds kind of feeling stressed out by that. All of our birds have been very comfortable going into new cages. So it really depends on your bird's situation, but if you wanted to do it slowly, there's nothing stopping you if you've got the space to have that extra cage and the old one. But also be prepared that if they do have an uncomfortable situation with this new cage, you may want to take it a little bit slower. What are the best treats for birds? For me, it's always natural treats. So in terms of training treats, for our conures, they like banana chips, hemp seed and sunflower seeds. They don't get those in their main diet. They're strictly for training and sometimes foraging as well. For the cockatiels, it's mostly millet, although fish does like hemp seeds as well. But in terms of like little extras and kind of fun things to add to their diet, a bit of forage and just things that kind of spice up their diet, we always like to include different kinds of dried flowers. They're always a big hit. Star anise is a massive favourite here. All of the birds love holding the star anise, picking out the seeds. I don't really like the smell of it because it smells like licorice, but some people might enjoy that. And what else? They like goji berries as well as a little treat. They're full of like antioxidants. They're quite a healthy treat to offer to your birds. And another firm favourite is plain air-popped popcorn. You could add a little extra to it, like chilli powder or something like that, to spice it up a little bit, as it were, but plain air-popped popcorn is a huge favourite here, and all of the birds love making a great big mess with it. So the next question is about David and I. Where did we meet? How long have we been together? We have been together for 4 years and we met online, the modern way. Although be very, very careful if you are not an adult. Please do not talk to people online that you don't know and, you know, try and meet them. Please don't do that. And if you are an adult, please be very careful because there are a lot of scary people online. Luckily, neither David or I are scary people, so we were a perfect match, and yeah, we've been together ever since. And if you didn't see my community post, we actually got engaged the other day, which is very exciting. And leading on from that, how did David propose? He really caught me off guard. I was not expecting it at all, which is probably the best way, really. I was unpacking the groceries in the kitchen. He was in here in the living room, and he was like, "Oh, look what you've done now." So I was like, "Oh, here we go." I come marching in, expecting an argument, and there he is down on one knee, and I was like, "Are you joking? What's going on?" It was very cute. It was very us. And yeah, it was lovely and very excited. And I'm not wearing my engagement ring because I have to get it resized. I just popped it into a local jeweller's because it's just a little bit too small. But obviously David didn't know the size of my finger, which is very common when you are proposing to somebody. So hopefully by the time this is up, I should have my ring back. But if you want to see what it looks like, I'll put some photos here of what it looks like, but it's very beautiful and it's very much my style. So we are very happy. Where in the UK are you? Obviously I'm not going to tell you exactly where we are, but we live in Hertfordshire, which is just above London, so we're in the south of England. Have I ever owned budgies? I have not had budgies as pets, but I've worked with loads of budgies when I have been working as an animal keeper. I've been head of birds at a farm park and had loads of budgies to look after there, and I think they're amazing. And as I've said before, it is my dream to have like a flock of rescue budgies that are all named after Lord of the Rings characters, so we'll see if that happens or not. How do we get each of the birds? I have made kind of individual videos on how we got them. So as a kind of quick story, Chip and Fish are actually from a breeder, nearly 3 years ago, something like that. And we got to visit them as babies and we're checking up on them, and it was a really lovely experience to get them from babies, but that was still hard work. Pickles, we went back to the place where we got Chip and Fish, and she had been surrendered back there. Somebody didn't want her anymore. She was less than a year old, so she stole our hearts there. She like beckoned David over, and that was it. She was basically like, we were hooked, so we got her. Scampy, we were looking for a companion for Pickles, so we reached out to a rescue. We got him from Safe Haven Parrot Refuge, and that was an interesting process, like actually going through a rescue and having home checks and things like that. Again, he was less than a year old and not wanted anymore. We are his 4th home and his forever home. And then Olive, we saw her advertised by a sort of semi-local pet shop that, again, under a year old, and she wasn't wanted anymore. This seems to be a really common thing with conures, which is why I don't always recommend them as pets, because they're hard work. It's always well worth experiencing in person before you go and commit to a conure, because they're very difficult. But they all have their forever homes with us now, and we love them all to bits. But those are kind of a very, very brief overview of their stories. Have you ever had pets that weren't birds, and would you get any more? So I grew up with a dog. Her name was Lucy, and she was a Cocker Spaniel, and I loved her very much. And I also had a hamster. I think a lot of people when they're growing up have hamsters, and his name was Dougie, and I loved him very much as well. So it was hard losing pets over the years. It's one of the hardest parts of having animals, is knowing that more often than not you will have to say goodbye to them. But I have so many wonderful memories of my beautiful pets. And would I get any more that aren't birds? Probably. It really is going to depend on where we end up living. I'd love to have some goats. I'd love to have cats. David really wants a dog. I don't know, we'll have to wait and see, but I'm always open to the idea. Again, our ethos is always to try and give as many animals the best lives possible in their forever homes. So keep your eyes peeled and cross your fingers for us that we can find somewhere appropriate for this. And yeah, we'll have to wait and see. This is an interesting one. Do I fear any animals? Technically no. I'm fine with spiders unless they just kind of jump on me out of nowhere. That's always terrifying, but you know, I pick them up with my hands and I put them back outside. I don't like wasps. I feel like they don't serve a purpose and they're just scary, and I don't like them. So I wouldn't say I fear them, I just don't like them. I don't like flies either, they're just annoying, they just won't leave and you try your best, like the window's open and they just won't get out. I also don't really like moths and butterflies, and that's nothing to do with their role in the world. I think, you know, they're super important for the ecosystems, but I just find them a bit weird, like they fly and there's no sound, and I don't know, I've always had a bit of a thing with it. I suppose it's probably a bit weird, but I think they're beautiful. I just don't want them flying at my face. I get this question asked a lot, so again, I'll give you the express version, but if you want to learn a little bit more, I talk about it in my first Q&A, which is how did I get into bird keeping? A very short express version is I ended up having pet ducks when I was 16. Absolutely loved them to bits, they were wonderful. And whilst I had my ducks and I was doing loads of research on their welfare and things, I realised that you could actually do qualifications in animal care and things, and I don't know why, it never really crossed my mind that I could, you know, work with animals. So I went to college and I studied an animal management national diploma. Thank you, Chip. And I worked with loads of animals whilst I was on my course. After that, I went and studied a honours degree where I got a first class in animal behaviour and welfare, specialising in birds, of course. And all throughout this time up until the present, I have been working practically with animals, specifically birds, but all different kinds of animals. I've been very grateful to work with loads of endangered species, exotic species and domestics as well, and that's been wonderful. But yeah, I've studied hard and I've had a lot of practical work, a lot of unpaid volunteering work as well, which goes into being able to work with animals. It's hard work, it's not for everyone, and to be honest, you're doing more without the animals than you are with the animals in most animal care jobs. The next question, which I don't think I've ever been asked before, is will we get girlfriends for Chip and Fish, and will Olive get a boyfriend now that we've paired up Pickles and Scampi? So for Chip and Fish, we are not planning on getting them girlfriends. They're very happy as two brothers living together, they get on very well, and I'm not sure how adding females would be a good idea, not only because they can be a bit spooky about new members adding to the flock and then potentially living with them, but also we don't want to breed our birds, so there's no need to add any females. With Olive, we would like to get her a friend, but at the moment we're still sort of rehabilitating her with manners and regulating bite force and frequency of bites, and allowing her to express her body language of precursors of biting, because we don't want to then go and put a bird in there and them get bitten, or, you know, introduce them together and her lash out because she hasn't kind of learnt those skills. We have tried to introduce her to Scampi and Pickles before. That didn't go too well. They don't really like each other. We're still working on some tolerance, because you can always achieve tolerance with birds, but I don't think they're going to get along as a trio, and that's fine. So we are open to having her a friend, but I don't think that's going to happen while we're living here, just because of space constraints while we were kind of getting them together. But, you know, we said we weren't going to get any more birds after Scampi, and then Olive came along, so we'll have to wait and see. Are plastic charm toys okay for birds? We are not fans of plastic as such, as kind of a general rule. There are some plastic toys that can work, especially if they're foraging toys. I don't really like these plastic charm toys. You see them a lot online. I don't think they really serve a purpose, and I feel like you could still fill that niche of what the bird needs with a more natural toy, that there's no risk of kind of ingestion or hurting themselves if they chew the plastic and it becomes sharp. I think the reason they're pushed a lot is because they are cheap to produce, very easy for the mass market, and yeah, it's not always, these toys aren't always made with the birds in mind. They're often marketed towards the humans. You know, they look fun, looks like something I might play with if I was a kid, but no, I don't think the plastic charm toys are very good for birds. You can have the odd plastic toy here and there if it's a safe one. I'm not sure if we even have any other than like foraging wheels and things. We always go for natural toys. Some of our toys may have beads on, but it's not something I would seek out in a toy. More often than not, I'll actually take them off. Same with bells. I've talked about bells a lot, and if you don't know what I mean about bells, check out my things you should never buy for your parrot video, because I go into a bit more detail there. But as a general rule, I don't think birds need plastic toys, but every bird's different, so yeah. The The final question is, how is Scampy's harness training going? It's going okay. It's not something I've prioritised recently just because we've had other things going on. We still do sessions occasionally. I actually put a video up on my Patreon, is it last week or the week before? I think it was the week before last, about harness training, a bit of an introduction to it, and why I haven't put up a training tutorial on why we haven't harness trained our birds. Very sort of briefly as like a teaser for that video. It takes a really long time to harness train birds, more often than not. Some birds just will not take to it at all, and I don't want to rush him. I want it to be a really pleasant experience. It's also not a necessary behaviour for a bird to learn, so again, I'm not pushing it. I'd rather train him behaviours that are going to help us in our kind of day-to-day lives, and ones I think are enjoyable and can add to his repertoire. Another reason why I haven't made a harness training tutorial, not only because I haven't trained my birds it yet, I want to make sure that when I do it properly, because pretty much every single harness training video I've seen online kind of goes like this. So, okay, you get your bird used to the harness, you get his head through the harness, then we shove the bird in the harness and oh, it's trained and off you go. And that is not harness training. There are so many different steps to it. Even just getting the wings through the wing holes can be very, very difficult. So if I'm going to do it, I want to do it properly and make sure I give you all the information, all the pitfalls we've found, and yeah, do it properly. So I will make a harness training video when I've done it, but I want to make sure that I do it properly as well. So that brings me to the end of the video. Hope you enjoyed learning a little bit more about me and the birds and some sort of thoughts on certain topics. As I said, if I didn't get around to your question, I do apologise. I had so many, but if you would like me to answer it in the comments, do leave it down below and I'll get back to you when I can. But in the meantime, thank you so much for watching and for supporting my channel. I really appreciate each and every one of you for taking the time to watch this video or any of my other videos. Honestly, it means the world to me, so I really appreciate you, and I really hope that you are having a fantastic week, and take care and see you later.